Whoa, okay. We're back again because they told us we had to be.
I mean, the comments.
Yes,
we had.
yes,
All right,
the comments told us.
Because I was going to say, if they told us we had to be, that's cool. But I'm not sure who else would have told us when
Joe Biden told us. Get fucked.
No.
You see that? Kamala Harris sent out another tweet the night before last. Same thing.
I did. And some Karen, likely, she behaved like a Karen, immediately jumped to, what, do you have a problem with women in authority? And I'm just like, God, it's so tiring. It's so tiring. Thankfully,
this is so dumb.
Twitter ratioed her into oblivion, and they were just like, what, are you kidding me? Blah, blah, blah.
I've noticed people aren't having it though. Like I saw Will Ferrell came out and made a video. I don't know if it was real or not. Can we confirm? Was that real? Did Will Ferrell actually make the video of, when Biden, told them what they were going to do? He was essentially like, go fuck yourself.
I think I'm familiar with the one that you're talking about. Yeah,
and Mark Wahlberg. Like, I believe Mark Wahlberg is definitely a guy that tells people to go fuck themselves. So I would like to believe that people are waking up and seeing, whoa, this is a slope we're not going down.
I feel like people are finally starting to... I feel like there was a large silent majority of people that didn't want to play that game, that saw the negative consequences of playing those kind of games. And I think that now they're starting to realize that things are going too far, because it's actually starting to get, into the government at a bureaucratic level. And that level, if it gets in at a bureaucratic level, it's really tough to get out, because it's not like when you get if you have a politician who's elected that passes legislation where you can vote them out next time. Bureaucrats are harder to get rid of than politicians.
But we've got big news as of now that we didn't have on our last show.
Do we?
Well, yeah, we've got proof. 0 deaths in Texas.
Yes.
Now that's thankfully a big middle finger to all these idiots and these other governors and the president himself that said Texas is dangerous. They're Neanderthal, blah, 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 blah. And here we are.
I saw that.
With not a single person dying from COVID. Go figure. Wow.
Again, I'll remark about Twitter. Beto O'Rourke,
he needs any.
He is just one of the worst people on the political stage that consistently loses, and still people pay attention to him.
Still thinks that he needs to weigh in. It's like
he was a state rep, right? Is that what his deal was? That's how he got onto the.
He's a congressman, out of El Paso,
and then he lost.
He lost horribly,
and that was good. And he was one of the people that was saying, this is going to result in deaths of Texans and blah blah blah, and he was patently wrong, and I'm pleased with that. I'm happy. I'm happy for 2 reasons. One, because it didn't result in deaths. I'm happy that fewer people died. I'm happy that it didn't produce the terrible outcome that they predicted. And I'm also happy because the people that predicted that there would be deaths have egg on their face. So fewer people died, which is a happy result. And Beto looks more like a dumbass, which is a happy result.
Wild. And I think this is how we'll kind of format this too, is as we move forward in these. There was over 200 comments on this video, which some of them provided some good insight. Sure. I mean, I saw 2 or 3, 4 ER nurses that were coming in saying, hey, you guys are actually telling the truth. My hospital has been less than a third. Like, no one's here because we kick everybody out unless it's COVID. It's like, we're seeing people come forward now and go, yes, this is the truth. I mean, one of our close friends that we hang out with routinely, Scott Farber, by the way, MD. He has his own plastic surgery practice out here. He's also a Navy doctor, but he was deployed to New York City in March of last year.
Was he on the ship?
He was originally on the ship, but he said they had a field hospital as well, but empty. Yeah. And then they fucked the ship up.
Yeah.
It's like, this is just getting the personal accounts. If you wait and listen to Cuomo, you're going to hear a whole different story, which, by the way, a comedic group yesterday produced an outstanding video on Twitter. I don't know if you saw it.
I have not seen this.
It was a movie trailer about the 3 governors, Newsom, Cuomo, and it was amazing about their it was called like Another Lockdown or something like that. It was really, really funny. Morgan showed it to me.
Newsom and Cuomo, because they're kind of the ones that have the most egg on their face because of their behavior. The worst thing about the worst thing about Cuomo is obviously the death toll, like his poor leadership and management.
His stupid ass ideas.
Yeah, I mean,
that I think were on purpose and vindictive. He wanted to rise the death rate up as fast as he could to obtain absolute power.
Well, I can't get into his mind, and I really hate to think that someone would hope for deaths to accrue power. I'm sure that that there are people that can make that argument, but just the fact that his incompetence led to more deaths than necessary, and at the same time he was taking the accolades, getting that Emmy and stuff about
now
how great of a
they
job
just came out that said he is projected to make $5.5 million off of his memoirs of the lockdown. Like, this is fucking crazy.
It's terrible that someone that has proven to have bad emergency management skills is still defended by people in New York. I know there's a lot of people in New York that really hate Cuomo, and well, they should. But it's really just disheartening that there are people out there that still defend him, even though the results that he's produced are literally a higher death toll. It's just atrocious, and it's a shame.
It's dumb.
Yeah, it's very dumb.
Real dumb.
It's dumb, and it makes me sad because there are a lot of people that don't have grandmas and grandpas and parents anymore because of
just wiped them out. Whereas DeSantis didn't.
Yeah,
wipe out his elderly population.
Yeah, but another thing is, when you bring up DeSantis, there were a lot of people that were starting to make comments about who DeSantis was helping, and they were trying to characterize it as somehow him trying to benefit his political base or whatever. And it's like, he was trying to help the elderly population because they're most at risk. Yeah. Now, granted, the elderly population tends to be the people that vote. That's just the way it is. Young people don't vote as much as elderly people. And the older you get, the more you vote, because you start paying attention to those kind of things, because you see that political results affect your life. But that, because he's trying to help his elderly population and do what he should be doing as governor, people are trying to slander him as it being politically motivated. And it is just, again, it's really, really disheartening to see that. And it shouldn't be surprising, but it is disheartening to see that there are people that will try to twist things.
Well, look at the news. CBS did it themselves.
Yeah.
The news corporations are not celebrating success. That's why we have to understand they are the enemy, because they refuse to report success. They refuse to give anyone credit that did anything right, that resulted in safety and people actually returning back to normal, businesses thriving and coming back. Like, we refuse to do that. So we have to identify these guys are the enemy.
Yeah.
That is no question.
And I actually make that exact statement on my Twitter account frequently. The media is the enemy of the people because they are not interested in informing people. They are interested in producing a narrative. And what gets traffic?
Producing a narrative.
What gets traffic? Scared people.
People
that will,
people think
how
they
do
have to click.
Yeah.
I need to see this. 5 ways to survive the pandemic. Oh my God. All these clickbait bullshit.
Way number 1 is don't click their link.
God. All right. Well, enough on the virus stuff. We're moving past that. This show today, we got 2 good topics. We're talking about HOAs, number 1. And breeding rights with animals.
For animals, yeah.
Questions on constitutionality on this?
My initial...
Let's start with we'll start with the HOAs.
My initial thought is that my initial thought when you sent me this the other day was, I was like, I think that they're constitutional because it's people that are your neighbors deciding this is what we want in the neighborhood. Now, if it's your property, then it probably isn't. As in, if you own the land, right? So you buy an acre or 2 acres or however many acres that your house is on, then maybe they're not. If you're dealing with something like a condo, then you have condo associations. Those are similar in function to HOAs, but they're not the same because you only own from the inside, from the drywall in. So I think maybe They might be unconstitutional as far as an HOA if you own the property. If you're talking about some kind of condo stuff, then I imagine they're probably constitutional.
Well, I mean, now you're going to be fighting. If you purchased that condo, you bought that, you own that,
you own the inside.
But you also own essentially what you touch. So your balcony, your sliding glass door, if you have one, things like that. Yes. So you cannot go out and just paint your condo blue.
Yeah.
So it's a square. Yeah. That. But also HOAs, well, let's just break this down to, they were created to maintain value in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So it was created so somebody doesn't buy in our new development and puts 15 cars that don't have wheels in the front yard and they never mow their yard and it just looks disgusting. It brings the property. I mean, really, there's even another fact. I mean, that could be a myth. If a bad house truly brings property value down in this day and age.
It could be. I assume that there are companies that would probably be able to study the effects.
I just like right now in the home buyer's market, is anybody not going to buy because across the street looks dumb?
I mean, in today's market, yes, but I think that there's probably value in the idea, or there's probably some truth to the idea that as the market overall goes up and down, whereas you're right that, if you got a heated market like we have currently in the US, they probably will be like, I'll take whatever I can get, because people are, especially down here in Texas, people are they're buying stuff $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 over what people are asking. They're like, here's the cash, just to get a piece of land or a piece of property. But I don't know that has an effect on whether or not it is constitutional, isolated from what a market is doing.
I think they constantly overstep their bounds.
HOAs?
Constantly.
Yes.
Constantly.
Because
again, if we look at the purpose of an HOA to maintain property value, so something does not detriment everybody else's value.
Yeah.
Okay, now start looking at things that HOAs do. And if you keep cross-referencing that question, you're going to see a lot of stuff that HOAs are telling people, hanging a flag in your house does not degrade the property value.
Yeah.
So because HOAs now have come out and they have put sanctions and restrictions on what banners you're allowed to display. I have seen,
invariably that becomes political, because it's like, okay, well, if you want to put up certain flags, they're okay, but other flags, they're not okay. I would imagine that they would, because that becomes, I imagine that there are going to be personal opinions. That one's okay because that's a politically correct.
When I go into the constitutionality of this, though, is like this. It's like I've read through horror stories, nightmares, things like, we're talking things like, I would burn their president's building down to the ground. Like if someone tried this shit with me, like the fact that I would resort to just pure violence and vigilance is 100%. Because if a fucking smug-faced president sat in front of some stupid desk and told me
you can't do this,
putting a lien on my, or fining me this, putting a lien on my house, I go, okay, that's your decision. I want you to really think about that, my man. I want you to really think if it's worth it. I want you to really think if you want to make an enemy that is as creative and resourceful as me. Because I'll tell you right now, I will make sure that I will skate my way through the law, but ensure that the rest of your life you regret this moment right here. Right now, you're going to be 20 years from now going, that was the day I fucked up. Because it's crazy. There was an HOA in Colorado that tried to force the residents that they had to keep their garage doors open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And their reasoning was, we need to ensure no one's letting people live in the garage.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding? Like, if some idiot asshole knocks on my door and tells me, hey, you have to keep your garage open. Like, you're getting a Molotov in the face.
That alone is like, questions about security, about being able to secure your own property and stuff.
This is where the Constitution comes in.
It's ridiculous.
Does an HOA president have the authority to tell me I have to open my fucking house up?
No, and I think that, obviously the homeowners would have to go to court and have to fight that. And that's really, again, what the HOA is relying on. Will someone get a lawyer and actually take this to court?
Yeah, they play that game all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But there's even more. There's more and more and more of this from, they're telling you, what color play swing set.
Yeah.
A homeowner had a swing set in the backyard that wasn't visible from the front. And then they fine until, and this is where the legality thing comes in. How does a made up organization, because they're not government organization, they're not a governed body. You're just a group of people that said, hey, we're starting an association. How does that have the authority to fine you? That's where I want to know the law. That's where I want to know why we allowed.
Yeah.
Why did we allow this law to exist if it does exist? Because
I totally agree with you about the lack of authority, because it's one step away from the mob. But that's generally, I'm fairly critical of government in a similar fashion, because the government frequently tends to behave one step away from the mob. So I think as far as I go with it, I don't have a HOA, and I would never live in a place that has an HOA.
No, neither.
Because it's asking for problems. It's asking for
I know my personality. I'll end up burning someone's house
It's
down.
asking for petty tyrants to stick their nose into your business and say, oh, you can't do this, or you must do this. And the you can't do this is one thing. The you must do this is another. If someone says you're not allowed to do this, it's one type of rule or whatever. But when they're saying that you must proactively do something else, that to me is a more offensive rule or ruling, because it's one thing to limit what you're allowed to do, but when they say that you must proactively do something else, that's a different thing to me.
One of the things I saw very consistent of was a lot of these horror stories that I reviewed, where people were given permission, and then months later, years later, permission was yanked.
That's another thing. It's once you've given permission and okayed stuff, to take permission away and to say that we're rewriting rules and stuff. ATF does that all the time. Well, it's infuriating.
One case was, again, this HOA had a rule that said you had to park in the garage, no cars in the driveway. That's one of those things, again, fuck off.
Yeah.
That is not allowed. You cannot say, I am purchasing a fucking house.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me, I can't use the driveway because why? Because you think it looks, the fucking stupid ass bullshit president at the time thinks it looks good if no cars are in the driveway. Get fucked. That is when all of you have a meeting.
What do you do when someone comes over to visit or whatever?
Honestly, that is just mind blowing. I would have all my neighbors walk to their house, pull their door off the hinges, rip them out of the house, and say, guess what? You're fired.
We're going to fix this right now.
And that was, I'll get to this in a second, because after I finish this. Yes. So, this guy, before he bought the house, his truck didn't fit in the garage, had a written contract that said, if you buy this house, you can park the truck in the driveway. 6 months go by. Now they just decide, we don't want to let you do that anymore.
Yeah,
now we start fining you. Hey, you get a $25 fine every day that your truck's in the driveway.
Yeah.
And they let that accumulate until it's $30,000. Then they put a lien on the guy's mortgage, which again, why is that legal?
Yeah.
This is a made up association.
Yeah.
that is not that has nothing to do with the government.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where I'm saying, how is this constitutional? How is SAG, the Screen Actors Guild? Because they tried to fucking put a fine on us from Range 15 of like $125,000. Who the fuck are you? They had a bunch of bullshit. The fine magically went down to $12,000 after, I talked about a road flare and a can of diesel. I just speculate. I'm not saying, you just say, hey,
diesel's cheap.
If you've ever watched Law Abiding Citizen and you see when he quotes himself, he says, I said, I wish that he would be dead. I would love to see him dead. You can say these things in a correct manner that get your point across. That isn't necessarily
point across.
It doesn't. It cues them in kind of where we're playing, and that's and that's the thing.
This is just so you understand my mindset.
Yeah. I just want you to know
possibilities really are endless.
I have a lot of ideas. I have time, and I have resources. Come on, let's play.
A lot of them are uncomfortable.
And you know what? You're going to work every day. I'm right here. I'm just watching you, old president of the HOA. So yes, they hit this guy, and this is like, I almost want to. This is like my future. I just want to start like a squad that goes in and tries to unravel unjust HOAs on people. Because imagine this family is, getting by. They got a nice house. Now all of a sudden they have $30,000 in fines because of his truck. Get the fuck out of here.
It's ridiculous. I mean, that is something that you have to initially at least handle with lawfare, but you have to have a lawyer.
But lawfare is expensive. That's what they're banking on. They've got a bank account of fees.
Yeah.
I got into this argument when I foreclosed on my house in 2009 when I was in the military. The HOA tried to come back and say, well, you owe $2,600 in back HOA fees. I'm like,
eat it.
I foreclosed on my house because I couldn't pay for it.
Yeah, you're not getting
where the fuck? And that's what I said to her face. Like, this was a stupid fucking old woman with her stupid curly hair, watches Murder, She Wrote every night. Like, fuck her, Linda. Like, and is looking at me like, well, it doesn't matter that you foreclosed on the house. You still owe the fees. I go, oh, no, I don't. You think I was like, hey, do you think you're getting these from me? Well, you're going to have to. I go, well, I'll see you later, Linda.
Yeah.
You have fun sending that hit squad coming after me to find that money that you want.
You can send all the strongly
Holly by
worded
the sea
emails.
can suck my dick.
You can send all the strongly worded emails that you'd like. I'm just going to ignore you.
I'm moving away. Like, see you later. It's just, that's what I mean. Going back to this guy with the truck. It's like $30,000 in fines.
I can't believe that they actually let
but that's what they do. They
pumped it up to $30,000.
They do a daily fine. And then they have some fuckface go out and, he's got it up. He's got it up. He's got it up. But, some of these horror stories, they say, after 3 years, they won in court. But it's like, that's 3 years of this?
You have to countersue to cover your costs. And hopefully you have the capital in the first place to pay your lawyer, hoping that you win. I mean, it's just.
Are your neighbors, though, then holding that HOA president accountable for wasting? Because if they lose, you just lost all the money that you've been collecting in the neighborhood. Are you guys firing these people when they want to go to bat or go battle some homeowner over some bullshit thing that, again, is not bringing your property value
The thing
down?
is, the homeowners really should get together. And I think that's probably a possible solution. Homeowners really should get together and go to the HOA and be like, you can't do this to people.
So this is my solution.
These are our neighbors.
I've had plenty of people write in and with HOA problems that ask, and I creatively tried to think about this. Like, okay, how do you really fight an HOA without burning, the president's house down? And here's my solution. Create pockets. So if your HOA is fucked and you hate the board, well, great. Get your neighbors together and get as many as you can and then show up and say, hey, we just started a new province, because this is all made up bullshit anyway. So you can make up your own bullshit too.
We're in charge now.
I represent these 25 homes. I now represent more than your board members. So you now have to recognize me because I'm speaking for these people. So this is what you guys have to do. If you want to fuck up your HOA, you need to organize around them, appoint a leader that represents a large number of homes. That gives you the freaking gumption and the leverage.
Yeah, as long as it's just you against the HOA, you're probably going to have to. I mean, it's going to be significantly more difficult. If you can get your neighbors on your side, if you have your neighbors, if you're the neighbor that everyone likes, and if you're the neighbor that everyone knows, oh, he'll help me shovel my driveway. He'll, whatever it may be. That's a lot easier to get your neighbors on your side. And if you get your neighbors on your side, that's probably the best way to go up against your HOA.
Yeah, because then you have more. Yeah, you show up again, and they can't do anything about it. They can't say, well, you can't. Hey, I've got 25 signatures of 25 properties that represent X amount of dollars in this subdevelopment or this development. You do have to listen to me. Yeah. So let's go. And then, then you could push for another election, vote. You can start citing, where people are abusing power, because it comes back down to, is this degrading the neighborhood kind of aura? Is this degrading our property value? Yeah. No. If they are overstepping their bounds, fucking give it to them. Yeah. Just shove the sword right down their fucking throats.
And I think that's probably the best option. And and when I say the best, I mean the most likely to work without jail time.
You just got to be creative.
Well, I'm just saying. Creativity is good. I'm not.
These are just like the most evil people. Sometimes I see. Because I see it comes down to just blatant ego.
Yeah, I mean, bullshit. You get petty tyrants like that all the time, whether you're dealing with HOAs or whether you're dealing with unions and stuff like that, or like you said, the Screen Actors Guilds. As soon as you get people that get together and empower one person, that person doesn't want to give up that power, and frequently they like to exercise it. So,
well,
and the small business owner is the person that, and this obviously, is the person that tends to have to deal with those kind of people most frequently. And
we didn't even touch on like renovations and things like that.
Yeah, well,
how you have to ask, you buy a piece of property. This does not make sense.
And you have to ask permission if you can do something to make it better.
Yes. Mm-hmm. No. This is, or they make you pay a fee.
Yeah. That's another. Yeah. I didn't know that they would make you pay an additional fee on top of whatever the cost is to make it better. Like, it's literally them saying, I want a little something because you're making you're
going to get more money for your house. Yeah.
So I want a cut of that money, which is just atrocious.
We need to rip this apart. This needs to be, we need to look into this law. I would love a lawyer. If anybody out there knows a lawyer that deals with HOA, so I would love to hear what. I want to know what the laws are. I want to know how the fuck a group of people just get together and start going, hey, we can find people.
And you should probably put in the comments down below, you should probably let us know your experiences with HOA. If you have some kind of horror story, put them in there.
Yeah, I would love to hear all your horror stories, from hanging flags, flag poles, to wrapped vehicles, to trying to build a patio. They want to fucking whine, a fence, anything. It's like, when I started researching this, it just got me madder. I just started filling up more and more diesel cans, bought a bunch of road flares. Like, I'm ready to battle the tyrannical HOA presidents out there. I would love to write a movie about that, where we were like HOA assassins for hire. So it's like
one guy's a lawyer and one guy's former special operations.
Well, no, it's like a whole crew.
Okay, well, a
Yeah,
bunch of
yeah, yeah.
But the lawyer takes the lead. First, the lawyer goes in and tries to settle things the proper way, and then
it
the
just
nice
keeps,
way.
It
and
keeps
as things degrade,
escalating.
then they bring in like the A team or whatever.
And then we got the president in a storage container and we're slapping the jumper cables together. Like that's the thing.
Standing in a puddle.
The second that you put an HOA president in that position, like
things change.
Yeah, I mean his mind now,
change.
Purple shutters, plum shutters now seem real okay there, fucking Mr. George.
I hear if you hit people hard enough in the head that they go colorblind.
Oh, wow. Fuck it.
I don't know.
HOAs, the most evil thing in middle America.
At least in the suburbs.
Yeah, in the suburbs. They're a huge fucking form of bullshit. By the way, if you don't know, 3 or 4 times a week you stream on Twitch.
4 times a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah.
You could hear all your favorite songs. You can tip you to sing songs that they want.
Yeah.
And they get to watch you sing your music.
Yeah. And I will do I sing songs. I will sit and chat and talk. I only stream for about an hour. There's a lot of people that stream for longer. I am thinking about getting a PC and doing gaming and stuff. That's actually what I want to do, but I'm looking. I'm really, really reluctant to actually go and purchase a computer myself. I want someone to sponsor me. So if you guys, if you know someone that has it,
if you want to build me,
you want to build me a computer,
I will say your name on the stream. People, you got to kind of take advantage of this because this is cool. We are around in exciting times. This made me realize this when I was kind of talking with Morgan this last week when we were out with Nitro Circus and all the guys, where I was kind of recounting my childhood and my following of motocross and supercross and everything. And it came down to what I was explaining to her like how much Crusty Demons of Dirt changed motocross and dirt biking for everybody. And the way I was explaining it is back then, we didn't have vlogs. We didn't have reality TV. Like really, like one of the first reality TV shows that there ever was the Tom Green Show. That was the first time you went to watch a television program that you had no fucking clue what he was going to do. And it just seemed like he brought a camera around and he'd fuck with his parents by doing like a lesbian ice sculpture in the front, or he had the lesbian orgy painted on his mom's car's hood. And this was the most hilarious thing. Like this was so new. We were like, holy fuck, this is cool.
I mean, and especially that type of comedy, because I mean, there was like the real world. But that was like,
that came after Tom.
That was after Tom Green, was it?
Yeah. Tom Green was first. That's why I always attribute kind of reality TV was Tom Green's Canadians' fault. But what I'm getting at is like back then, like in the late '90s, when my heroes were supercross riders: Jeremy McGrath, Jeff Emig, Kevin Windham, Mike LaRocco, like all these supercross riders. Dude, the aura of them were just the gear and the colors.
Yeah.
Like you occasionally got to see them speak in a post-race interview, so and then you'd see them in the magazine. So you knew what they looked like.
But even then, that was only on races. You couldn't jump to YouTube and go.
You have
and
no
watch.
clue what these people were like.
Yeah.
And that's what I was explaining to Morgan is I was like, dude, Crusty Demons of Dirt was the first time you saw these athletes that you idolized just hanging out with their friends and having fun. Yeah. And this was new and it was weird. Mm-hmm. It was like, it was very humanizing because back in the 90s, like celebrities and athletes were almost like, the curtain was so big. Like you were just like, whoa.
One of the things that really got me when I was young is like whenever you could get like backstage footage, which was like, I mean, it was super hard to come
practice, band practice stuff,
rehearsals and stuff. Oh my
God, we saw them rehearse.
And so like, that's why like for me and for Mike, our guitar player and stuff, one of the reasons why we did like the Forever in Your Hands video the way we did, it was just like one of the tour videos. Cause when you would see like inside the bus and backstage and setting up sound check and all that stuff that you never saw, like ever,
because I mean, there weren't the VIP experience packages. Yeah. Like there weren't these things. There weren't, taking selfies with this. Yeah. You went to a sea of people.
Yeah.
And you saw them take the stage. And then you'd see them maybe walking with an entourage to the bus.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yep.
Like it was so just closed off that it seemed so crazy. And now, who's the most famous person you've ever met?
Most famous person that I've ever. I mean, if you're talking about like rock stars, I mean, it'd be like Ozzy or like,
just in general.
Mike Martin met Eddie Van Halen. I've met, Slash real quick. I've met Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden. I know his son, Austin.
He's got a band now too.
Yep, yeah. Austin Dickinson. And he's a great singer, great dude. But like guys from Five Finger Death Punch, if you're talking about modern bands and stuff, those dudes are homies.
Any random like famous actors or anything that you found out were fans or something like that? Or they ever reach out like, hey dude, I love your stuff?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head, but again, for us, it's like,
like what if Brad Pitt gets in his Tesla and just fucking?
I would be pumped, I would be excited. Brad's a handsome man, But like, there's definitely a lot of people that surprise me, like.
Kayla, did you know? With Black Rifle Coffee's Coffee Club subscription, you can get fresh coffee shipped to you every month. What? You don't even have to go to the store. Whoa. You don't even have to leave your bed.
What? Wow. How did you get in here? You might want to go ahead and join the Black Rifle Coffee Club subscription before one of these guys shows up at your place.
Tekashi 6ix9ine or whatever. Tekashi 6ix9ine. Yeah, he's like a fan of All That Remains and stuff.
Really?
And that was a big surprise. Yeah, he mentioned us. He's mentioned us a couple times in multiple.
It was like Post Malone has done some Asking Alexandria.
Yeah,
covers.
he's done some stuff with Asking, so it's funny how there's like a lot of crossover and stuff. But yeah, like you said, you never thought of seeing having as much access to entertainers, to celebrities as you do now. Sometimes.
Yeah, but now you can go on Twitch.
Yeah.
4 nights a week.
Yeah. And talk to me.
And talk to you.
Yeah.
And then ask you to sing a song, any song.
Would you do this song? Yeah,
would
exactly.
you do this? That's fucking cool.
I love it because
I wish the starting line would start at Twitch. I'm just kidding. You guys don't like money. I know you guys. You hate money.
One of the cool things one of the best things about Twitch is the interactive. Like I know there's a lot of streamers out there that like they don't talk to their chat. They don't hang out and answer questions and stuff. They kind of sit down and do their thing. And if you're playing video games, I kind of get it. But if you're not playing video games, like they're there to see you and talk to you. And like, so for me to be able to interact with people and talk to, people that are fans of All That Remains and hear the anecdotes or the stories about, I heard you guys the first time that blah, blah, blah this time or whatever.
This is the first time I listened to you.
Yeah. And it's super, super cool. And that's one of the blessings or the cool things, the silver linings to come out of COVID is I started streaming and it's been really, really cool. It's fun. I love it.
Great. Well, go check it out. Twitch. How do they find it?
Twitch.com/Phil That Remains. I'm Phil That Remains on Twitch. I'm Phil That Remains on Twitter. I'm Phil That Remains on TikTok. I'm Phil That Remains basically everywhere. If I'm on the particular site, it's probably
you can watch it from your phones, Android and Apple with the Twitch app. Like join in, go check them out.
Come hang out.
Yeah,
songs.
Come tell them to sing like some stupid shit, like some Britney Spears. Come on, I want you to
do Baby Shark.
All right. Next, the second topic for the day. This is another one that like gets it makes me say, what? This doesn't make sense. Who the fuck? And I'm new to it because the last couple years we got a really nice cat. I guess a fairly expensive cat, not crazy expensive, but it's a ragdoll. I guess that's a thing for cat people.
Not a cat person.
But seeing the contract, like a contract that you have to sign that says you won't let them breed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And here's that. This was my first question. So like when they first got the cat, there's a stack of paperwork and everything. And I see this contract. It's like, we did not give the animal to you spayed or neutered, but you're not allowed to let this animal breed. And I look at it and I go, did we pay full price for this cat? They're like, yeah, we paid full price. I go, then fucking rip this thing up. Like, hey, if you are putting restrictions on me, then you're I'm not paying full price. Like, and then it comes down to, how is that legal? Because
Now, that was the breeder's rule?
yeah, the breeder,
No
wherever you purchase the cat from, the person that was.
So what are the repercussions if you do let it breed?
I don't know.
do they
I don't
kill
even
the
know how they
kittens?
prove it. I don't, like what are they going to DNA? It's just like, dude, that cat I bought from you died. I got a new one. Like, that's another thing. Or
I've never heard of that.
If you buy the cat and then give the cat to me and I breed it, I mean, the contract's fucking void then, right?
I imagine. You didn't sign anything.
I'm going back on this with rights. Like, how do you have the right to sell an animal to somebody and then say that they're not allowed to do certain things with said animal? I don't see that as being constitutional. I don't see them being able to enforce, unless it's in there that says, hey, the going rate for this breed of animal is this, but you are agreeing to take the animal at this discounted cost in the agreement that you will not let this animal breed. Like, I see that as being an acceptable contract.
Yeah, I mean, free people can enter into any contract that they want to, and the courts will, say, well, look, you signed the contract, you entered into the agreement. How they can get away with being like, we're not going to sell you this cat unless you sign this contract, or why, what the justification for that is, is beyond me. I have no idea. I've never heard of anything like it.
Well, I mean, let's peel this back even deeper. What gives them the authority or the right to even start at this point?
I have no idea.
So it's like, at one point, this person, the breeder, got the cat and started breeding it.
Yeah.
Okay, now what makes you owner of this?
Because it's just a contract between you and the breeder. It's not anything that's enforced by the state, correct?
I have no idea, because I did not look into like what horror stories of breed law, or I don't even know what law it falls under.
I know there's some breed specific laws here in Texas, and also I had to, when I moved down here, I had to get some paperwork for my dog to get into the
but that's not breeding. That's just more of
yeah. I didn't
liability insurance and things like that. That certain people have labeled certain breeds of dogs some more liable than others. Okay, what's crazy is no one bats an eye at a Malinois or a shepherd.
Yeah, a Maligator.
Yeah, these things are designed to fucking bite people. But
it's like a dog on cocaine and meth.
Oh, you don't have a pit bull because pit bulls were used for dog fighting. You think that's the most
ridiculous? But back to what we were saying. I'm not familiar with any of that type of any kind of rules or
I just don't know how.
I've never heard of it.
Like it's just a number of things. It's like, one, how do you even enforce it?
Yeah.
Two, what is even your right to enforce it? You obtained that animal one way or another.
Yeah, right.
And now you're making the rules for it after you are breeding it and selling its offspring.
It makes no sense to me. And I don't understand the justification, like them saying, okay, you can't breed this unless, or you can't breed this. You're agreeing to it. So like I said, I suppose the contract is binding if you sign it and say, okay, but if you say, no, I'm not signing that. And they're just like, well, we're not going to sell you the cat. Like, is that something that's
you
like,
right to refuse business. So that's okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of, a good number of breeders only sell you after they've had the surgery.
After they've been spared.
So they will have the litters.
Yeah.
They will get them all taken care of, and then they'll sell.
So essentially it's just like, essentially it sounds like it's just barrier to entry for people that might want to breed a fairly rare and expensive animal.
Shit. You got me. I don't think it's constitutional. I don't think anybody should have that, and anybody has it. Because again, I go back to this. This is the argument I would be fighting. What gives you the right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're already kind of arguing a very weird gray area of owning an animal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, it's a pet. It certainly isn't like you can't call it livestock. It's a pet, but I think the only thing that covers it is the fact that you enter into a contract with someone. So you can enter into a contract for just about most anything you want. You agree with people and you sign the contract, and then these are the terms.
It's a good thing we got rid of that cat that we had the contract with. Yeah, man. I just didn't want a cat that came with a contract.
I don't blame you.
That's what
I wouldn't.
That's the thing. I ain't listening to no one. You tell me what to do. Now I'm gonna now you have my attention. I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah, I have to admit that there's a very wide streak of GFY that lives in me as well.
You are not allowed.
Yeah.
No go at this station. Move along.
Yeah.
I would like to hear from you guys. I'm sure some of you are breeders. You're probably going to argue with me. It's all right. I'm sure there are some people out there, because I have seen the cost way up. Like if you are buying to breed, you have to buy a $12,000 to $20,000 animal. Like, that's great. But again, we're going back to this. It's all made up.
Yeah.
Someone made this up and it's not enforced. It's not some law. Like, it says the following families, the Bransford family is the only one allowed to breed King Charles Spaniels.
Breeding rights for cats.
King Charles Spaniels.
This is a new one for me. This is something that I'm unfamiliar with.
But it's one of those things. Why? How? There's a lot of rules over there. And we just didn't know. Yeah, we didn't know because we're not over there fucking around.
How long did you get this cat?
But I mean, we don't have that cat.
Well,
it was a few years ago.
How long ago did you go to the breeder and talk to him?
Yeah, it was a few years
ago.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, fuck cat. I don't want no cat with papers. Get out of here. I want it to lose its hair if we have to board it. Oh, it has papers. Big Lebowski reference.
All
right. Well, I think we got two good ones.
All right.
We'll keep them to two because you guys got to fuel us here. So
yes, actually, that's a great idea.
Yeah. What are we ranting on next?
Yeah, comment section.
You get to pick two per episode. What do you want us to bitch about?
Get in there and argue with people, with each other, because we read them.
Yeah, so I read them all 200 and something of them.
So
there were some good ones. I don't know. One guy was like making fun of us about how we were talking about being wise with money. That came in and was like, two wealthy, successful veterans, while homeless veterans are out there that can't even get a peach or something like that. It's like,
look, I get it that there are homeless people and stuff, but I mean, just because there are homeless people doesn't mean that like you shouldn't give advice to people about finances.
I'm just going to go back.
And none of it was financial advice, but shouldn't talk about.
We were just saying, pay attention.
Yeah.
And be real with yourself.
But it's the internet. There will always be someone that's going to poo-poo what you say.
Yeah, but I'm just going to go on the fact that it's like I'm allowed to say that because I foreclosed on a house. I had $0 in the bank. I didn't have enough money to afford to replace my hot water heater. I took cold showers for 6 months. And what did I do? I started working the second I got off work from the military. So I started moonlighting as a camera person, graphics guy, ad designer, and started Bot Stick Collective with Gary Stevens to pull myself out of that.
I lived in a van.
Yep. Fuck.
For years.
I've known a lot of people that lived in their car. And it's interesting. You guys have an interesting means of like it's almost like a subculture where once you've done that, you know how to achieve everything that you need in a day around town.
Yeah.
The shower, bathroom, everything else.
I tell you what, truck stop showers, there's a time in my life where a truck stop shower was literally a godsend. And it was the thing that I looked forward to.
You just gotta go to Florida or Southern California, and then they got those beach showers. You know,
those work.
If you're just hanging out in Florida, you always got a shower.
I would be nervous.
And public bathrooms.
I would be nervous about the guy pouring the soap on my head every time I try because that just seems really frustrating. I saw that video and I'm like, man, that guy's gonna kill him.
All right, well here we go.
All right,
Just Rants episode 2. Check Phil out over on Twitch, and if you haven't already, go to freerangeamerican.us. We got some good articles coming up. Heather Lynn just spent the last week in the wilderness.
Yeah. Was she searching for her possum friend again?
I think so. Yeah, but they were out. They were completely unconnected. I think they were dropped off by a helicopter or something. I don't know the details, but she's doing a whole vlog, writing a whole story on that. We've got some other stuff coming up. Don't we want to do the how to write a song with you?
Mm-hmm.
We'll do a vlog over there on Free Range. We got Robbie Madison coming in tonight. That'll be great. We'll be talking to him about some dirt bike stunts and some new things that he's been getting into with mental health issues.
That is good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. All right. See you guys next time.
Like, share, and subscribe. Smash that like button.